bombshell, unexpected news on this Thursday. Scott Drew and the Baylor Bears land a commitment mid-season in the transfer portal from Cameron Carr, a shooting guard recently of Rick Barnes' Tennessee Volunteers. Now he comes in with a couple years of eligibility left. He's only played a season and a half with Tennessee. Wasn't getting a ton of playing time this year, but was a big-time recruit out of high school, top 60 recruit, 4-star, and was kind of a prized recruit for Tennessee out of Link Academy, actually, where Jacoby Walter was playing, where Baylor target Trey Johnson played, one of the great prep programs in America right now. And all of a sudden, here we are, end of January, and bang, just news out of nowhere that Cameron Carr has committed to Baylor. I got to say, it's so much different from football. Maybe it's just a Baylor thing, but Scott Drew moves in silence. Real G's move in silence like lasagna. And Scott Drew does that, man. No one saw Norchad Omier coming. Jeremy Roach, the rumor was out. Yeah, I think it was also a Thursday. Thursday afternoon, the rumor's out. Thursday night, he's making the commitment. All these other schools and other sports, it has this buildup. But this once again kind of comes out of nowhere. And now Tennessee fans are finding something fishy about this. In fact, some on Twitter are saying that it's tampering. It has to be tampering from the Baylor Bears, right? They played earlier this year. Remember that in November? Well, I wish I didn't remember that. Tennessee ran away with that game. And clearly, they must have had something going on. They must have had some kind of conversations. There's no other reason. It's not that, Baylor is a pretty good program and have had a good time the last half decade here developing guards. But one fan on Twitter wrote, Tennessee played Baylor in the early season tournament. This has tampering written all over it, but the kid obviously didn't want to play defense or rebound, so good luck to him. Defense, I'll give you that. It's not been great this year, but if the kid can zone up, we got a spot for him, and it is one of the best rebounding teams in the Big 12. So I hope you take that back, sir, on X, Twitter. This is obviously a big-time problem around college sports and the portal, specifically college football. We hear about this all the time, of teams tampering with and talking to players when they shouldn't be. Very much doubt this is the case. Very much doubt it. There's always ways to connect with agents and agents to coaches and all that. But first off, there's not that many stories around college basketball in particular with tampering, and there's been nothing around it with Baylor. People have wanted to. This is actually the people who are tweeting this, and there's a couple in those comment sections. I think they might be Rick Barnes' burner accounts, because Rick Barnes, more than anyone else, wanted the NCAA to crack down on Scott Drew for these made-up, make-believe recruiting violations. He wanted to throw Scott under the bus so hard when Scott started to get his full allotment of scholarships and started beating Rick Barnes. And there was some smoke coming from Rick Barnes' camp. Basically, it was almost like what Gary Patterson said about Art Briles a decade ago before the scandal came out. Remember that, when he was like, one of his players got arrested for beating a kid up over some natty lights, and he was like, yeah, we'll go check out what's going on 100 miles south. That's kind of what Rick Barnes was doing. When people would crack down on him or Bill Self, and he'd be like, yeah, well, look what this guy's doing. You should investigate this guy. I'm not going to say anything because I don't have any proof, but you should just look into it. You do the math. That classic BS, you do the math. I'm not going to tell you. I know it, but I'm not going to tell you. That's what Rick Barnes was doing with Scott Drew for years. And of course, that's exactly what it is. It's BS. It's BS, man. And Cameron Carr, in terms of the player that you get here, kind of interesting. I was talking about it with Calvin Simpson Hunt from Ohio State on the football side of things. Here's a guy who comes in mostly on potential. He hasn't played a ton in his college career. In fact, he's only appeared in 18 games throughout his college career. And he went from 4 minutes a night to 10 minutes a night this year. And, small baby steps, but 1.5 a game to just under 5 points a game, which is interesting because Like, that's not an insignificant jump. It's not where you want to be if you're a top 60 recruit as a sophomore. Like, I get that, and that's what it comes down to. But like that 10 minutes, like you're in the rotation for quite literally one of the best teams in America. Um, so I guess he just wasn't happy with that playing time. And for you Baylor fans, myself included in this, who are talking about how the Bears need to change their roster building, this is a peek inside it. Okay, because yeah, top 60 recruit, but he's got 2 years of eligibility after this, and it's not like he's just a threat to go into the lottery next year as we look at it right now. And it works exactly like the transfer portal, but back then they were just called transfers, how Scott Drew was making those guys into elite players, right? Some of the best players of Baylor history, Davion Mitchell, Maceo Teague, Adam Flagler. Like, these guys had to redshirt a year. They couldn't play with the team, so they could only practice with them. That's what Cameron Carr gets to do right now. He's going to enroll at Baylor. He's going to be a student this semester, and he's going to practice with the team. So now you've got a kid with all kinds of potential, a top 60 recruit, who can come in here next year and will have already done the practices. Like, we'll have already gone through it for the most part this year. And he's probably not a threat to be a top 10 pick like Baylor's battled the last couple of years with some of their best players. They're one and dones. So now you've got the practice time like you got with, again, the Teagues, the Mitchells, the Chamachachuas of the world. And then you've probably got 2 years out of them, the way you did with all those other guys I was talking about. So this is a small step towards that for everyone, including myself, who wants to see this new roster building change. Like, this is how it starts right here. They're starting it on the fly while they've got probably at least one, or I shouldn't say one, at least 3 one and dones on this roster with Roach O'Meara and VJ Edgecombe. So maybe this is the start of it. But Cameron Carr, welcome to the Baylor Bears. No tampering required. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Are Tennessee fans crazy about this? Probably. It's just that Rick Barnes Kool-Aid, Rick Barnes burner accounts. Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to like and subscribe. It helps out the channel a ton. We are on the march towards 4,000 subscribers. Appreciate you making it your first and second listen today and every day. Stay safe. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you later on your favorite show, Locked On Baylor.